I've always found solace in cooking. There's something incredibly satisfying about transforming raw ingredients into a symphony of flavors. Maybe it's the Italian in me, the inherent need to nurture loved ones through food. I find pure joy in the entire process. Carefully selecting fresh produce at the farmer's market, the aroma of garlic and onions sizzling in olive oil, the anticipation in my children's eyes as I announce dinner is served. For years, my kitchen has been my sanctuary. It's where I de-stress after a long day. It's where I create. It's where I express my love. My wife, Jennifer, however, doesn't share this sentiment. Her words sting. They chip away at my confidence. I find myself questioning my abilities. Am I not a good cook? Is my food really that bad? Doubt creeps in, casting a shadow over my once beloved hobby. It's not just the occasional comment. It's a pattern. A relentless barrage of negativity that leaves me feeling deflated and unappreciated. I remember one evening I had prepared her favorite pasta puttanesca. I meticulously chopped the tomatoes, ensuring they were diced to perfection. I used only the highest quality olives and capers. The aroma filled the house, warming it with the promise of a delicious meal. Jennifer took one bite and pushed her plate away. "It's too salty," she said. "I can't eat this." I was crushed. The joy I once felt in the kitchen began to dwindle. The act of cooking became a chore, a source of anxiety rather than pleasure. Every clang of a pot, every sizzle in the pan, was a reminder of Jennifer's impending judgment. It all came to a head last week. I had prepared a beautiful salmon with roasted vegetables. Again, Jennifer refused even a single bite. She opted instead for a microwave meal, her eyes glued to the television. That's when I snapped. "Why do you even bother asking me to cook if you're just going to eat that?" I asked, my voice shaking with suppressed frustration. "Don't be so dramatic," she retorted. "It's just dinner." That night, I made a decision. I would no longer subject myself to her constant criticism. I would not cook for her again. Section 4. The Unveiling of a Toxic Pattern. At first, Jennifer didn't seem to notice my silent protest. She went about her routine, heating up frozen dinners as if nothing had changed. She continued to heat up her frozen dinners, seemingly oblivious to the growing distance between us. Each meal she ate alone felt like a small wedge driving us further apart. But as days turned into weeks, and my culinary creations were replaced with the dull silence of an unused kitchen, the weight of our unspoken conflict settled heavily in the air. The kitchen, once a place of warmth and connection, now felt cold and distant. I found myself withdrawing. The more I tried to reach out, the more I felt pushed away. I spent more time at work seeking refuge in spreadsheets and conference calls. The office became my sanctuary, a place where I could escape the tension at home. I joined a gym, finding solace in the rhythmic pounding of my feet on the treadmill. The physical exertion provided a temporary escape from my emotional turmoil. I craved an escape, not just from the empty kitchen, but from the negativity that had permeated our marriage. The stress was becoming unbearable. It was during one of my late-night gym sessions, sweat dripping down my face as I pushed myself to exhaustion, that I had a revelation. The physical strain seemed to clear my mind. Jennifer's criticism wasn't just about my cooking, it was deeper, more pervasive. It was a symptom of a larger issue, a toxic pattern that had woven its way into the fabric of our relationship. This realization was both painful and enlightening, forcing me to confront the reality of our situation. Section 5. Seeking Solace. I started to see it everywhere. The subtle shifts in the atmosphere, the unspoken words that hung heavy in the air, the way she dismissed my ideas, belittled my accomplishments, as if they were insignificant, and found fault with even the smallest of things. Every minor detail became a point of contention, the way my jokes were met with eye rolls, as if my humor was a burden, and my attempts at affection were brushed aside, leaving me feeling more isolated. I realized that I had become a shell of myself, a mere shadow of the person I once was. My confidence eroded by years of subtle put-downs and backhanded compliments. It was a slow, insidious process. The man who once found joy in creating, in nurturing, in bringing life to his passions, in expressing love through food, had lost that spark, had been replaced by someone who was afraid to even speak his mind, fearing judgment and ridicule. I confided in a friend, someone I trusted deeply, a wise soul who had weathered his own share of storms. He had seen it all. He listened patiently as I poured out my heart, my voice cracking with a mix of anger and despair. My voice cracking with a mix of anger and despair. It was a cathartic release. "It's not you," he said, his words a soothing balm on my raw emotions. His words a soothing balm on my raw emotions. "You deserve to be with someone who appreciates you. You deserve to be with someone who appreciates you, who sees your worth, who celebrates your passions instead of tearing them down." His words gave me hope, a glimmer of light in the darkness. Section 6. A Glimmer of Hope. His words resonated deeply within me. For the first time, I allowed myself to imagine a life free from the constant weight of judgment and fear. A life where my love for cooking was met with enthusiasm and joy, not disdain. A life where I could be myself, fully and unapologetically, without any reservations. The thought was both terrifying and exhilarating, a mix of emotions I had never felt before. It was a glimmer of hope in the darkness, a beacon of light guiding me toward a future I had never dared to dream of until now. I knew what I had to do, and I was ready to take the first step. Section 7. A New Beginning. I want a divorce. The words hung in the air, heavy and final. Jennifer didn't seem surprised. Her calm demeanor was almost unsettling. Perhaps she had seen it coming, felt the shift in my energy, the distance that had grown between us. We had been drifting apart for months, maybe even years. There were tears, of course. Accusations, attempts at reconciliation. We tried to patch things up, but the wounds were too deep. But I knew in my heart that it was over. The love we had once shared had faded, replaced by resentment and sorrow. The love we had once shared had been slowly poisoned by the constant drip of negativity, and there was nothing left to salvage. It was a painful realization. Leaving Jennifer was the hardest thing I've ever done. It felt like tearing a part of myself away. It was also the most liberating. For the first time in years, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Free from the shackles of her criticism, I could finally breathe again. I felt a sense of relief wash over me. The future is uncertain, but I face it with a newfound sense of hope. I'm ready to embrace whatever comes next. I've started cooking again, this time for myself. It's a small act, but it brings me immense joy. I savor each bite, the flavors more vibrant, the experience more fulfilling. Each meal is a celebration of my newfound freedom. I am rebuilding my life, one delicious meal at a time. Each dish is a step towards healing. And in the warmth of my kitchen, I am rediscovering the joy, the passion, the love that I thought was lost forever. It's a new beginning, and I am ready to embrace it.